BC? Kieran here. NeedleGroove. Gonna vibe on the Impulse label. As soon as Fred, Pixar 1000, you put up that video, I wanted to make a video right away, but I haven't had the chance to do so until now, really. And also, I was kind of further inspired by Anders' video. So, Fred, you were away when I did my my subscribers contest, and I mean, your Gimme 10 fits right in. I had asked for to pick one jazz label. Pick one jazz label and just show me what you got from it. So you've been doing that recently with, you did CTI, ECM, and then Impulse. And I have a bunch of CTI and ECM. I don't know that I have 10 of each of those labels. I probably have 10 CTI, but not 10 of the best. Impulse, so I'm going to do Impulse. I'm wearing I got the jazz t-shirt with all the labels, which you guys probably have seen me show already, but I thought it was appropriate for this video. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to necessarily pick my 10 favorite. I'm going to pick 10 from my collection that all have different labels, and I'm going to go in kind of almost chronological order of the label, so not necessarily the release. So it might be an early release that I have a later pressing of, but to show you the different labels. Many of you probably already know them, but I'm going to go through them and show them to you. And I picked out 10, as you can see, kind of back there in the corner. Probably that would be a better point. I still have a bunch of Impulse there, so that's the rest of my collection. So anyway, let's get started. So Impulse here, I showed you the book. I haven't finished this book yet, The House That Train Built. So it didn't start with Train, but he's the one that made the label. So start off with, and these are all great records. They're not necessarily the 10 best. Like Fred said, it's impossible to pick the 10 best records. First of all, I don't have all of the Impulse. I just kind of started collecting them this year. Kind of got hooked on the label, and there's a lot of Impulse records that I don't want or need in my collection, but just when I see that label, I'm automatically drawn to it and almost want to get it just to add it to the collection. But there's definitely some that are essentials and some that aren't. There's a big variety of music that was put out on the label, ranging from more straight ahead standard jazz to orchestra stuff to more free jazz, spiritual. Was even, I think, a couple folk records, I think around A24 and 25 that have a different look, which I've seen around, but I don't have them. But anyway, so let's get started. So first one that I'm going to show is Out of the Cool. Anders, you showed Into the Hot, which is, as you mentioned, not Gil Evans' actual orchestra playing, but so this is stereo copy of A4. So the fourth release on Impulse. And I know the Blue Note, a lot of people, go for the monos, and that's what more collectible. And a lot of people still like having the monos for Impulse, but it's kind of stuff I've read is a mixed bag. Some people say that the stereo recordings on Impulse are great. I mean, both are great, but it's not necessarily an advantage to have the mono. But anyway, so this is, like Fred mentioned, Impulse has that aesthetic that's consistent throughout the label for the most part. I mean, up until a certain point, until the late 60s, they all had this double spine, most of them being orange and black. Which was really, really pretty with the glossy gatefold. So this one is the Gil Evans Orchestra, and you have a few names that I recognize on here. Gil Evans on piano, you have Ron Carter on bass, you have Elvin Jones on percussion, and then a bunch of names that I don't really know. Bud Johnson, I think I've heard of, maybe Charlie Persip. But anyway, so this is dope if you don't know this. So to show the label, which I said I was going to do, so the early Impulses, the first labels were obviously this orange and black, which is the classic. And what you have listed down here, I don't think you're going to be able to read it, but it says a product of AM Par. So those were the first Impulse releases up until A33, which is a Roy Haynes release. And there are some apparently before 33 that came out with the next edition, which I'll talk about in a second, the ABC Paramount. But A33 is the last one to feature this the AM Par. So it says a product of AM Par Corp, printed in USA, and they have that deep groove. So that's the first one. Then I will just skip over, since I'm in Canada, I will show you what the Canadian ones look like. So these are on Spartan. So you see it says Spartan Impulse Records. So all of Impulse Records made in Canada were pressed up on Spartan up until the company closed down, which I believe was in 1969. So this record is Ray Charles' Genius in Soul Equals Jazz, which did a lot for the label in terms of getting some money, you know, big sales. Obviously Ray Charles was a star. So this is mono A2. A1, the first one is, I think a J.J. Johnson and K. Winding is the first one, which I don't have, but I've seen around. Anyway, so this is the Spartan. Most of them say Spartan here, and this one is a mono A2. So the mono Canadian ones have this kind of burgundy look to them, and then the stereo ones are yellow. And this also has a kind of deep groove type of thing going on. So next one is another AM Par, but it's kind of an anomaly. So most of this info that I'm getting comes from London Jazz Collector website on the Impulse Labels overview. And this is one that I actually submitted to him because I'd never seen it before, and he actually put it in the labels overview. So if you go check out the website, I'll put the link at the bottom to the page where he describes all this stuff, and you'll see a picture of this. So the record is Coltrane, live at the Village Vanguard. So this is the first Coltrane record. This was taking a new direction. As Fred mentioned, the label was started by Creed Taylor, but then Bob Thiele took it over early on, and Coltrane was, you know, the house that Train built. He's the one that kind of made the label. So this one, mono copy, A10. So A10, an original, should be a product of AM Par, and which this is. So Coltrane, live at the Village Vanguard, product of AM Par at the bottom there, but flip it around and it's blank. So I've shown this before when I picked it up. So I thought, I mean, maybe a hardcore collector might not like that, but I thought it was kind of cool. It was different. It still says a product of AM Par at the bottom there, but it's not printed. So I thought that was kind of cool and different. So I sent that to London Jazz Collector, and he found that interesting. Just forgot to get printed on that side. And great record at that too, the Coltrane live at the Village Vanguard. Okay, next record is mono A56, Jazz Around the World, Yusef Lateef. Yusef Lateef is one of my favorite jazz artists. Plays a variety of instruments, and I have 2 of his records on Impulse. There's a few that I'm still looking to get. For some reason, I stay away from the Spartan pressings, not because there's anything wrong with them. So I have seen a bunch of Spartan pressings, Canadian pressings that I've left at stores because, I don't know, I just love the look. The gatefolds are just as nice, but I love the look of the Impulse labels on the record. The Spartan one's just not as nice. There are certain records that are so rare that if I find a Spartan pressing, I will have to get it, but there's some that I know I will come across an American pressing eventually. And this is a great record. So, like I mentioned, AM Par goes up to A33. This one is A56 release, so it should be on the next variation, which is still the orange and black, but at the bottom, instead of a product of AM Par, it says a product of ABC Paramount Records Inc., also printed in USA. So you still have that label, and for these you will have Van Gelder in the dead wax if they're mastered by Van Gelder, which most of them were. If they're originals, you'll have them. Someone decided to have a Arts and Crafts Day all over the other side of this label. But anyway, great record, great jazz artist. Love Yusef Lateef. So the ABC Paramount Orange and Black was 63 to 67. And like I mentioned, they all had that orange and black spine. Very consistent, except for a few records. The folk ones, 24 and 25, I believe it's around there, have kind of like a turquoisey, bluish green thing going on. This one was already showed, the next one, but I have to show it just because it looks different than the others, and it is kind of the best record on Impulse. And this is something I'm pretty happy to have in my collection. I love Supreme, John Coltrane. I don't really need to say much about this record, but so this is mono A77, and what's different about this, it's the white and black spine, which is really cool. I'm not sure, I don't remember if there are any other records, I'm sorry, with this white and black spine. But, so this is different, and this is an original mono US copy that belonged to Kieran, who I don't know who that is, but anyway. And so the label on this is still this, and being A77, it should be ABC Paramount, which it is. So I think I bought this for $10. It's not in amazing shape. It's kind of scratched to hell, but thankfully it was pressed beautifully, and plays pretty nice considering. But for $10, that was a steal. I wasn't leaving that behind. That's for sure. Next variation is the white label promo. I have Elvin Jones, Dear John C. This is with Charlie Mariano, Hank Jones, Richard Davis, and Roland Hanna. Great album. I love the artwork on this. The cover is beautiful. And so this is, I don't really need to show you the inside, except that there's a badass cover of picture of Elvin Jones. So this is my only white label promo. I know, Anders, you showed one that you had. So pretty happy to have that. And it should be a product of ABC Paramount, but there's nothing listed on this. But if you guys don't have this record, definitely track it down. Elvin Jones, Dear John C. Okay, so next one. This one I kind of got screwed on. I ordered it online from a Dusty Groove America US store in Chicago, and they had it listed as original black and orange label. So I figure, okay, black and orange label, original, sweet. It's Kulu Se Mama, John Coltrane, except when it arrived, I shipped it to my cousin's house in the States. It was not an original. So you can see even just from the spine here that it's all white. And this is A9106. So after, I guess when they got to 100, they changed their, they added a 9 in front of it. And this is an awesome cover, awesome music. And this has Pharoah Sanders on it and a bunch of other musicians, as well as the guys you expect to see, Tyner, Garrison, Jones. But you have Frank Butler, Juno Lewis, as well as Pharoah Sanders. So this one is a Capitol Club Records. So these ones are SMASS as and then the number of the release. So you can see that. So these are a Capitol Club, much flimsier, not mastered by Van Gelder. So anyway, they said, I emailed them and they said send it back if you want. I said, well, can you guys just take some money off of it, refund me part of it? And they said, well, no, you have to send it back. And at that point, I was like, whatever. I'm just going to keep it. I don't know that I'll ever find an original of this or that I'll want to pay for it, but for now, this will do. Great addition to the Coltrane collection. Okay, moving on. So when we hit 67 is when we we switch the look completely away from the black and orange to the black and red. So first I'm going to show from this is Pharoah Sanders' Themby. Amazing spiritual jazz record with the likes of James Bay, Michael White, Lonnie Liston Smith, Cecil McBee, Clifford Jarvis, Roy Haynes, Majid Shabazz, Anthony Wiles, and Nat Bettis. Just unbelievable with the track Astral Traveling. So this one, they started moving away from the orange and black spine when they changed their label, and you often see the Impulse University series of fine recordings on there, and the label looks like this. So from 67 to 71, you had the originals that were released on this label, the black and red, listed a product of ABC Records Inc. So So that was the first edition, and then it said New York, made in USA. New York, New York, basically made in USA. So those were from 67 to 71. And that started, I think, at AS 9164, which was Magic. It was the Magic of Juju by Archie Shep, which was shown. So this one, A21, one of my favorite Coltrane records, and I love the favorite cover as well, is unbelievable record. If you don't know this one, check it out. So this one is A21, an early Coltrane as well as an early Impulse. Would have been on the AMPAR record, on the AMPAR label, but this is a later 70s release on the black and green, so it's probably from 67, 68, around there. But it has the product of ABC Records, Inc., ABC Records, New York, made in USA, just like the Pharaoh Sounder. So it's from around the same time. Don't know exactly what year, but you know it's before 71. So it was probably, it's either a second or third pressing of this record, because there could have been an ABC Paramount pressing in between the original and this one. Coltrane, great record. Next one is, which was shown, East Broadway Rundown by Anders, Sonny Rollins. Incredible, incredible record. Definitely look out for this one with Freddie Hubbard, Elvin Jones, and Jimmy Garrison. Long, long tracks, a bit freer, like Anders explained. And this one is, so this is A9121. So it would have been originally on the ABC Paramount label, which would be in black and orange. But this one is on the black and red, but it's not, it's from 71, but it's a later 71, because if you read here, it says a product of ABC Records. Oh, wait. Well, that's funny. Okay, so on this side, it says a product of ABC Records, Inc., 1971, which is when they started putting the year, and they took away the New York. But then on the other side, it has the older one. So this probably would have been from early on in 71, when they were just transitioning to what the next version was. So what it would normally have here, the later ones from 71, 72, and 73 have an R in front of the a product of ABC Records, and then the year that it was released. So that kind of gives you an idea of when they were pressed up. This one is just a compilation. Oh, it's not even on the right label that I want to show. Anyway, let's skip. So the next variation, which I actually don't have any, is the black and neon, which would have been 71 to 73. The all black with kind of the neon logo. And then we have, I don't have an American copy of this, but just to show you the label, the green Impulse label, but this is actually a Japanese pressing of Africa Brass, another, in my mind, essential Coltrane album. Beautiful. So this would be not the original Japanese release, but a 70s Japanese release. Still has the beautiful cover. It doesn't have the same kind of gloss, but it's in great shape. And so this is after the neon. So this would have been from 74 to 79. So you have this green label. And then another label that you find, which I guess is a later one, I just have this compilation of McCoy Tyner Impulse recordings, which looks like this. So that's a bit more than 10, but I just wanted to give you guys a complete, not complete, but as complete as I could give with my collection overview. I think I covered quite a bit there. So yeah, if I made any mistakes that anyone notices, let me know, or if you have anything to add, just write in the comments. And hope everyone's doing well, and I'll come back with a new finds video soon. Fred and Anders, thanks for the Impulse. Gimme 10. Anyone else that wants to do it, jump on. Take care. Peace.